You're listening to the Wise Women Invest podcast, a division of Noise Media Network, hosted by Audrey Bell Kearney. Wise Women Invest is on a mission to help 1 million women learn how to make smart money moves by becoming savvy investors in real estate, the stock market, cryptocurrency, and early-stage businesses. Now your host, chief noisemaker, and wise woman herself, Audrey Bell Kearney.
Good afternoon, everybody. Listen, I am so excited to be back. It's been a minute. We used to do this show on Wednesday evenings, and Callan and I have decided to bring it back on Wednesday day, mainly because my schedule is crazy. And by 6 o'clock on Wednesday, I am so exhausted. I don't want to talk because I talk all during the day. But I'm happy to be back. I'm also happy to share that this we got a 5-star on Apple Podcast for the show, and we haven't did a show in about 2-3 months. So glad to be back, and glad to have you back with me, Carolyn.
It's great to be back. I'm so happy to be back. I know you have a busy schedule, just like me, but I'm so happy that we got an opportunity to chat again.
Yeah. Listen, guys, we want to make sure, like, for most of you who don't know, Callan is a financial advisor. So am I. I play one on behind the scenes. You don't see me talking about finances too often, but I am a licensed advisor. I don't talk about that very often. Not until I get on this show. And so Callan's probably gonna kick my butt because I am busy most of the time. And so, I love podcasting and this is my thing. And I keep telling her, Callan, I know I'm supposed to be doing some stuff as a financial advisor, but this is my thing. So my way of giving back and doing things in this space is to make sure that you get the best information out there to help you make sound financial and savvy decisions and help you understand what it means to be a wise woman investor and just an investor in general. So Callan has been doing this way longer than I am, and she's way more committed than I am. So anytime she comes on the show with me to share information about how to invest and what you should be investing in and to educate you about investing, I'm always grateful. So thank you again for taking the time, because listen, she has a team of people way bigger than mine that she supports. And so I know that her time is extremely valuable. So I thank you for joining me today to impart your wisdom as it pertains to investing.
Well, you are so welcome again, and I'm excited. I don't know if you shared our title for today or not, but I'm really excited to share with people about the 3 Ds of investing. I'm so excited about that, and I'm going to start with the first one, and that's called dollar cost averaging. That's the first D, dollar cost averaging. I always tell people, Audrey, that it sounds like it's so mysterious because it's 3 words. What is dollar cost averaging? What does that mean? Very simply, I'm going to put it in real simple terms. If you had the opportunity to buy a pair of pumps, heels that you absolutely loved, and you could either buy them for $250 or you could buy them over time for $25 and wear them today. What would you do? Would you spend $25 or would you wait and spend $250?
So now wait a minute. Let me ask you this: How long is the 25 stretched over to? Because that would be my thing. If it's stretched over 13,
it simply means you can take advantage of it today. Meaning, if you spend $25, you can take advantage of wearing those shoes today. Or you can spend $250 and wear those shoes today. Which one would you rather do?
I'm probably going to take the 2. Okay, so here's me being analytical, Carolyn. I probably would take the 25 if I know that at the end of that payment is not going to be $600. It's still going to be the same $250. That's the only way I would do that.
It's still going to be the same thing. Here's the thing: you get the same value. You just don't spend as much of your money up top. So what you want to do is to make sure that you can invest, but a lot of people don't have. There's some funds out there and some other investments that you need $1,000, $2,000. I have one that requires a $25,000 amount to start, and there are not a lot of people. There are a lot of people who have that, but sometimes in our communities, Audrey, there may not be a lot of people that have $25,000. They can just pop and start investing. But if they say, you know what, I've got $50 Can I start investing with $50 and do that systematically over time so that I'm investing and my money is going to grow and I'm going to take advantage of when the market is up and when the market is down. For example, if I tell you that the stock today are $5 a share, okay, you can buy more when it's $5 a share than if I told you the shares today are $25. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
So
Correct.
if you are investing, let's say the market is down and you say I'm going to invest $25,000, or let's say the market's up and you're going to invest $25,000, you're not going to buy a whole lot with 25,000. But if you're systematically investing in the market over a period of time, you're going to catch the market when it's up and when it's down. So the cost that you pay per share is going to be averaged out. You're not spending a lot of money at one time. So it's going to help you kind of overcome some of the risk factor that you have instead of you trying to jump in. But it enables you to buy at an amount that may be reduced, or your average cost is not going to be as great as someone who just says, just take this $1,000 and put it in the market. They're going to catch it at that one price and that's it. But if you're doing it systematically, you're going to catch the markets when it's down. You're going to buy more shares. When it's up, you're going to buy less, but your overall share price is an average instead of being that you follow,
I do.
instead of you paying the higher amount, you're going to get an average price because you caught the market when it was down and you're going to catch it when it's up as well. But your overall cost is not going to be as great. And that's what dollar cost averaging is. It's deciding that you're going to take a systematic amount that you're going to invest. Another name for it is systematic investing. So you're going to get things on sale instead of paying the total amount, the high price amount for it. And that's what dollar cost averaging is.
I want to say this real quick because as you were saying that, I read an article just recently and it was talking about Gen Z and millennials, and they were saying how they feel so financially stressed out right now because they feel like they're not saving, they're living paycheck to paycheck, they're not investing. And I think if they understood this concept, they could see, because they are still very young, right? They're still very young. They can get really good insurance policies right now because they are very young, especially if they're in good health. So they can get really good insurance policies. And even though they may think that they don't have enough to invest, if they can invest $25 a pay or a month or whatever it is, that money is going to build for them.
Exactly. You are so right. I love the fact that you're always reading financial information and even and gleaning and getting more knowledge, because you are so right. A lot of times people think that the market is out of reach for me. I can't get it. Well, you can actually do a systematic investment and start investing every single month. And you're so right. They can actually start with as little as $25. The average person starts with 50 because it gives them a little bit more buying power. But for those millennials and Gen X's and Gen Y's who feel like it's too much, or they can't invest, it is a great time for them to get started. And they can get started without having large or lump sums, or what we call it. They don't have to have a lump sum. They can start with the amount of money that they spend eating out. If they thought about it, they could take a portion of that. Just one week, say, I'm going to eat in to this week, and I'm going to take that $25 to $30, and sometimes it's more than that, and I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to invest in the market. They can actually do that. And it'll be a great thing for them because they'll actually start making their future greater. So when they get to be our age, they actually have nest eggs because they've allowed their money to grow.
I think the other thing too, they have to think about this as a long game. Like a lot of times they want instant gratification. Investing is not instant gratification. It is a long game. But if you leave it there, it's going to compound over time. If you put money into your investments and take it out, you're not going to have any money. So I think that's the other thing too. Like once they wrap their heads around, okay, I'm gonna make the sacrifice of not eating out this week so I can take that $25 or $50. Because I don't know about them, but when I eat out, it's always over $25. I don't care. Even when I eat by myself, that's because I love seafood, y'all. I love seafood. So I'm always eating seafood, and seafood is expensive. And so but I always spend over $25. So if you make that sacrifice, say, you know what, this week I'm going to put that money into an investment, and it's the long game. They have to be prepared for that. Callan, with the stock market being so volatile right now, and it's always volatile. That's always the point. What do you tell the person that's saying, I really want to invest, but I'm gonna lose all my $25 if I invest?
Well, actually, that you actually brought up the other two D's, so I'm trying to decide which one to bring up first. Let me address the point that you said that is not a get rich quick scheme, and it's also not instant gratification. I'm so glad that you brought those points out, because when you start to invest, yeah, there's some things you want to do for the short term, but most of the time when you think about investing, you should be thinking long term. One of the second D, Audrey, is diversification. Diversification helps you when we're in the situation that we're in now, where the markets are all over the place. When you diversify, you don't have all of your money. You've heard the expression, don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Well, that's what diversification takes care of. You don't have your eggs in one basket. So when you have a diversified portfolio, you don't have all of your money in risky investments. And it all depends on the person's, I would say, their risk tolerance. It all depends on what their risk tolerance is, because it's different for everybody. I have clients that say, oh, no, I'm not worried about it. Put me in the highest rated accounts you have, because I'm okay with the risk. I know it takes risk for me to get long-term money. And then there's some that say, oh, no, 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 no. I'm gonna be upset if I lose any money. Well, when you have a diversified portfolio, which means you have some large cap companies in there, you have some small cap, you have some government, you have some bonds in there, you have some municipalities. So you have a very diverse portfolio. So when the market is not doing well, you have some other kind of safe investments that are kind of steady. They're just plodding along. Diversification helps you, and you have so many different companies and industries that your money is invested in. So, for example, right now the oil and gas industry are booming, right? You see the cost of gas. Well, gas and oil investments are doing really well right now. However, you would not want to put all of your money in those entities. You would want to have a diversified portfolio. So when the other, like even during the pandemic, consumer, Amazon, some of the companies that do delivery, home delivery, all of it, they were doing really, really well during the pandemic, because that was the demand at the time. So when you are diversified and your portfolio is diversified, where you don't have all of one type of company, you really can weather out, or where you can ride the market when it's down. You can ride with, yeah, you're going to see some loss there, but if you don't move, if you don't sell, you haven't lost anything. You still own the same number of shares. The value of the shares may have gone down a little bit, but guess what? It's going to go back up. And when it goes back up, your shares are going to be worth so much more money, because you stayed. You didn't fall into that get quits. You didn't fall into that, oh, I'm losing my money. So no, I would tell you that when you invest and you have diversification and you're doing dollar cost averaging, you're going to help offset some of the risk that you would take if you were just, while you're investing in the market. The key is diversification, having a really diversified portfolio. And fortunately, you can do that by picking different types of stock, or picking mutual funds that have different types of investment strategies, to where you've got and if you're investing in mutual funds, every mutual fund has over 100 different companies that your money is being invested in. So you have so much diversification there. And that helps your stomach feel better when the market is down. And when you turn on the news and it says, oh, the Dow Jones is down today. Well, the Dow Jones is a reflection of 30 different companies. Okay, it doesn't reflect the entire world, but because you have diversification, and you have that systematic amount that you're investing every month, so you're going to take advantage. The market is down, which means everything's on sale. So that means that you're going to get more shares during this period of time. So when the market comes back up again, you're going to be in great shape.
You know, I always go back to when the pandemic first hit and AMC stock just dipped, like it just dropped because nobody was going to the movies. And I said to my husband, I said, we got to get some AMC. He's like, but it's down. I was like, that's why we got to get it, because we're not going to be shut down forever. And people like to go to the movies. And sure enough, we bought AMC stock. And when people started going back to the movies, he started, because I think I bought at $8 a share. And when I think the last, like when it went back up, it shot straight up to like 30 something dollars a share. And he was like, holy crap. I said, I told you, because you know that even though we're going through a downturn in some industries, it's not going to stay that way. And the same thing, like you were saying about oil and gas, like right now, I don't know if I would try to buy oil and gas right now. After they make it drop, yeah, I may get some. And then because it's going to go back up again for some reason or another. So you just have to understand that. I want to talk a little bit about, because you said some things that I want people to understand what that means. You said municipality bonds, you said bonds, municipalities, and something else you said. I forgot. But explain to people what that means, because I don't know if they know that they can invest in the municipality or municipality bond, and what that actually means, and the difference between stocks, bonds, and mutual funds.
Okay, so a stock is simply when a company is a company and they decide, most of the time when a company goes public, they're raising money. So they decide to share stock. And so when you buy stock, you are buying ownership. So you actually own a share of that company. So if you decided that, like Audrey just said, that she bought some AMC stock. And so she is a stockholder and she now owns pieces of AMC. As a person who buys stock, you can do that. And so that's what that is. A mutual fund is a group of a whole lot of different companies. So she just said she bought AMC. Well, if it was a mutual fund that she purchased, in that mutual fund would be AMC and a whole lot of other companies. So AMC plus 149 other companies like Facebook, Apple, Netflix, Google, Kroger, all of the companies that, not all of them, but some of the companies that you and I go do business at every day, those companies, they put them together and they call it, depending on the type of company, they may call it a large cap company, which means they're over a certain value. They'll say, okay, if you want to invest in this mutual fund, it's considered a large cap fund. So therefore, this is what you're going to get. These are the companies that are in there. This is the average return, but you're not buying one company stock. You're buying into a mutual fund, and that mutual fund is investing in 150 different companies for you. And that's the difference between just owning one stock or owning a mutual fund that has a whole lot of stock in there. The third thing, when I say municipals and bonds, municipalities are like roads, hospitals. Those are things where you can invest in a fund that is investing in municipalities. And that means that you're helping, if Georgia decides that they want to do a full recap on all the streets and roads, then they will create they could create a bond, or you could be just investing in the city itself. And the bond is for them to raise the money to fix the roads. So they would have a Georgia bond, and you could actually invest in that. Or you can invest in the building of a bridge, or the building of a community. So you can, almost everything that you and I encounter on a daily basis is something that you can invest in. And then it could be a fund that is specific. Like we talked about oil and gas, could be real estate. You can invest in a real estate mutual fund and it's only investing in real estate, in the purchase and selling of real estate. You can invest in an energy fund that all of the companies in that energy fund are gas and oil and anything, refineries, anything that is related to the industry. You can, into that particular industry. I don't recommend industry type funds for people who are schemish, which means if you know that you're not going to be able to sleep at night, because sometimes the return can be very varying, but you can know that if that's what you want to do, though, you can do that. There's another one you can do. You can invest in what's called an index fund, and you guys have heard about the S&P, the Vanguard, and those indexes are have certain number of companies in there. It all depends on what the objective is, and what you're looking for. So if you want the S&P, you can invest in a mutual fund that's investing in the S&P, so, or the Russell. So those are a number of companies that they have pulled together and called them an index. So you can invest that way as well. And I've had clients, Audrey, who call me and say, Carolyn, I already have this, I want a mutual fund that's investing in an index fund. So, they've been doing their homework, and then you have those who say, you know what, the energy is getting incredible. I want to be in something that's got oil and gas. And I say, okay, that's very volatile. I may find a fund for you that has that in it, but it's not really focused on that. And then you'll find investors who say, I don't care. I want to take some risks right now. Put me in that. And so, if that's the case, they just have to sign that they took that risk, but it wasn't a recommended risk.
So, Carolyn, let's unpack that for a second, because as you were talking, I was like, okay, so I need to be invested in real estate and some other industries. That's what I'm saying. Then you said, but I wouldn't recommend that. Okay, so let's say, for instance, I decide I wanted to invest in a real estate mutual fund, right? That's an industry specific one. Is there a cap on how much is there a limit on how much I need to invest? Can I invest anything? Can I do dollar cost saving? What is it? Dollar cost averaging?
Dollar cost averaging.
In one of those funds. And so when you say I don't recommend it, is it because they fell a lot, or is it because they're just volatile?
Well, let me say, in my head, I was still talking to that client, because that client is going to call me when it starts going down. When he says he don't mind, but he's going to start calling me whenever the market starts going down in those funds. And it's right now it's doing really well. I'll just tell you that if it's someone who's really squeamish, and that's why I should have said I don't recommend it if you're squeamish.
Right.
But if you know that that's an area that you want in your portfolio, of course. I do it every day. People are calling and say, this is what I want. There is no minimum that you need to have. There's no maximum. You decide what you're going to invest, and then you do what I call, that's the third D, discipline. That's the third D, is discipline. And you said it earlier, Audrey, that you can't look at investing as a microwave. We're going to get this done. It's going to get done immediately. It's not get rich quick. You got to be disciplined that if you set a certain amount that you're going to dollar cost average every month, then you want to have the discipline to do that no matter what's going on, no matter what's happening with the market. No matter what, you don't stop it to say, oh, I need to go do this month, so I'm going to start you don't do that. You, as much as you can, you try to stay disciplined to whatever amount of money you've decided that you're going to invest on a monthly basis, whether you do it monthly or whether you do it quarterly, or you could do it annually. But you really take advantage of dollar cost averaging if you try to do it on a shorter frequency, like maybe monthly or quarterly. But you can invest whatever amount you want, and there's no limit to the amount that you can invest. And if you want to diversify into that type of industry, we can help you do that.
I want to do a whole bunch of them. It's so funny because right before we started this, I was going through my my expenses, right? Because I go through my expenses like quarterly. So it's the first of it's the right at the middle of the year, and I was like, okay, let me go through my expenses and see what I need to cut. So because for me, if it's something that I'm definitely not using, it's a waste of my money. So I was going through my account, and I was like, okay, that's $50 right there that I'm just about to cut. Like I'm about to cut it off. And here's the thing about it. All of my stuff they're on automatic debit. So if I'm not using it, I can easily flip that over into an investment account that's on automatic debit. And I'm looking at things. I got about 3 things that I already know I'm going to cut because I don't use them. And I'm really, 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 trying to hold on to my gym membership. But that's like hanging by a string because I'm not hardly ever there. And that's $40 that could be going into some money making ventures right there. I want to address this real quick. The discipline is real. Let me tell y'all something. Automatic debit is the best thing ever because you don't miss the money once it's gone. I think for a lot of people, if you have to pay that money, like you have to literally go in it's harder for a lot of people. Not for
Mhm.
me, not for people that are very disciplined when it comes to managing their money. But when you know that you're not a disciplined person, put it on automatic debit and it goes right into your account. I remember when I set up some accounts for my husband, and Chris and I set those accounts up for him. He had like 2 or 3 different investment accounts. It came right out. He didn't miss it at all. And so you
Mhm.
want to put that on automatic debit because that way you don't miss it. There is somebody out there right now, I'm sure, that's listening. They're saying, Carolyn, I'm 50 years old. Is it too late for me to start investing?
No, it is never too late. It is never too late to start anything in your life. Let me say that.
Yeah.
And sometimes, unfortunately, sometimes people don't get the knowledge
Yeah.
to do it at an earlier stage. They either don't have the money or they don't have the knowledge. And Maya Angelou, and I say this a lot, Maya Angelou always said, when you know better, you do better. And
Right.
so I firmly believe that at every time in your life, I have a young lady who called me yesterday, 71 years old, still working. And she said, Carolyn, you know what? I have some money I want to invest and I want to start with $300. I said, that's great. And what do you want to do on a monthly basis so you can dollar cost average? She said, I think about 50. And I said, great. So you can actually start at any age. The key is to start. The key is to start. A lot of times people think about it, they don't think they have enough money. They don't know a lot about it. And I'm so glad you're doing these podcasts, Audrey. They don't know a lot about it, but once they know, then they can start. So no, there is no age that is too old to start investing.
Callan, one of the things I love about this platform is that it allows us to actually share the wisdom that we have with everybody that's listening. And so I know as we move this show forward, we're going to be, listen, this is pretty mild what you see. We're going to have some real training on here so you can really understand what that means. And so we want you guys to tune in. Go to the noisepodcastnetwork.com, noisepodcastnetwork.com, or Wise Women Invest Today. Be sure to subscribe to the show so you never miss the episode because Carolyn and I, we're on a mission to make sure that she's financially secure. She's pretty darn good, y'all. I ain't gonna even lie. Callan is pretty good. I got to get where I want to get. So in order for me to do that, I have to dive deep, and I want you guys to dive deep because right now we got a group coming behind us. The Gen Xers and the millennials, they're scared. They're saying, what, I don't know what I'm doing. My money's not long enough. For the Gen Zs like me, we already know. We've been stretching the dollar for the last 25 years. We know we know about stretching the dollar. For them, it's a lot of stress. And so in order for you not to be stressed out, you got to understand the terminology. You got to understand how to use investing to help you create passive income for yourself. Put that stuff on automatic debit. Like I said, I go through my expenses all the. I got a whole expense sheet right here. If y'all saw, you're like, oh my God, you pay all of that? Yes, I do. I had to speak. I spoke this past weekend at Black Pod Fest and Pod Fest in Orlando. So Black Pod Fest was in Atlanta. Pod Fest was in Orlando. And I was at Black Pod Fest and I was talking to somebody and I was telling them, I said, yeah, I paid this bill. I said, I paid every December the 12th. And they was like, oh my God, you know the date? Yes, I know the date. I need to know, I need to know when the money is coming out because I need to make sure the money is there. So you got to know your numbers. I don't know if you've ever watched the Shark Tank. Whenever people go into the tank, the first thing the sharks say, know your numbers. You got to know your numbers just in general, not just because you're trying to get on the Shark Tank, but if you're trying to manage your household expenses, you have to know your numbers because if you don't know the numbers, how do you know how much you're spending and how much you're saving and how much you're wasting? Because a lot of times you're wasting way more than you think. And I shared this on one of our other episodes. For me, I used to love magazines. I'm talking about love. I was spending $40, $50 a month just on magazines. And people
Wow.
like, what? Because I love magazines. But I stopped. I stopped doing that. And I think what really stopped me was the pandemic because Barnes and Noble was closed and I couldn't go and buy any. So that stopped me. But we want to make sure that you guys get what you need. And discipline is a real thing. So we're gonna come back again next week. Callan, what homework do they need by the time we come back? And listen, guys, you can leave a comment. We can see your comments when you leave them. You can put comments in the comment section. We can see those comments. We can read them out. If you got a question, you can ask Callan a question, and we can see the comments. And I will post the comments on the screen. So if you want to ask a question or leave a comment, just in the comment section, just put a comment. Let me just put this so you can see what I'm saying. Ask your question. This is the cool thing about technology. I love it. Ask your question. If you got an investment question, you can ask your question right now and we can answer it. One of the things we want to make sure is that we're educating you. And we also want to make sure that we, if you got an investment that you are thinking about doing, don't do that on your own if you don't know what you're doing. So I can do it because I am a financial advisor. I am a licensed financial advisor. I just don't practice. Like behind the scenes, I play all these other people, but I am licensed. You don't do that. You contact Callan and let her help you get your financial house in order. Don't be going out there trying to do that stuff yourself because Callan, talk about the risk that you take when you work with someone or you try to do it on your own, if you don't know what you're doing.
Well, the chances are that you will end up with, well, you may lose your money, or you may not really understand exactly where your money's going. There's a lot of fake companies out there. There are a lot of people who promise things that are not. You want to make sure that you're with a bona fide company, people that are licensed and certified that can help you put your money in the right place. I would tell you that, and you could be like Audrey. There are a lot of people that are savvy. Audrey's an advisor. But she's also financially savvy before she even started becoming an advisor because she has the experience. And if you don't have that, then it's okay to ask someone to help you. And we can do that. What I'd like for you guys to do before our next is to think about how much money you spend. And Audrey talked about this earlier. How much of your money do you spend every week that you can reallocate to investing in your future, investing in yourself? How much is that? Is it 25 a week? Is it 50 a week? Find out what that is. What is that discretionary money that you have that you could really say, you know what? I can take this money and start investing in myself. I can be a wise woman and I can invest, or a wise man, and I can invest this instead of wasting it. So be thinking about that the next time we get together. And then we'll also, in one of our future shows, we'll talk about how to determine what your debt personality is, your money personality, and your investment personality. We'll help you determine what those are so that as you move toward becoming your savvy self, that your savvy financial self, that we can help you do that.
Callan, I think that should be the next show. What's your personalities? Like what is it? Your investing personalities? Is that what it's
Investing
called?
personality and your money personality. We can do, well, there's it's like a quiz that we do, and it helps
Good.
us to help the person determine exactly where they are, whether they are conservative, middle of the road, aggressive, scared to death. And then the money talks about their real attitude toward money. And so a really good place for us to start as well.
All right. So next week, y'all, we're gonna be discussing what's your money personality, and I think that's gonna be cool because a lot of people probably don't know what their money personality is. I know me. My father, my husband used to call me a black Jew. Please, Jewish people, don't get upset because and you guys are known to be very savvy when it comes to money. So he would call me that, and I'd be like, but I'm not wasteful. Like I'm not that wasteful person, and I've never been that wasteful person. Like I don't waste anything too much. So we want you to know we'll be talking next week about I'm putting this in the chat. What's your money? What do you call the money's personality?
Personality. Uh-huh.
Personality. See, that's technology for you. That's technology. I love it. Listen, if you got a question for us, if you go to wisewomaninvest.today, there is a tab there for you to fill out information. If you want to have a free financial needs analysis done, it's free. The word is free. You can go to that website, click on free FNA, and you can get your financial needs assessment done for free. That way you'll know where you are. If you are serious about getting financially free and financially set, you want to make sure you know your numbers. Yes, it's not the Shark Tank, it's your tank. And you need to know your numbers. So go to that website, wisewomaninvest.today, and apply to get a free financial needs assessment so you can see where you are. The other thing I want to say real quick, Carolyn, and you could talk about this for a second before we go. Having a will and having your asset management protection, because I could tell y'all, I was with this woman and we were at the post office, and she was talking about how I think it was her dad or somebody who did not have any asset protected, and all of the trouble that she had to go through. We're going to talk about all of this stuff, but you need to know that insurance, wills, all of these things are very important. I don't know if you've ever gone to the hospital. They ask you, do you have a living will or do you have a directive? You need to make sure these things are important. I have to go with my uncle, and I used to spend time going with my mom before she passed all the time, back and forth to the hospital. And they always ask those questions. Me, being who I am, they always have that stuff answered. So there are power of attorneys in place. And yes, these are hard conversations, but you gotta have them. If something should happen to my uncle, God forbid, I have a folder with his name on it with all of his information, wills, directives, everything right there. I don't have to argue with anybody. I don't have to prove it. I have it all right there. You need to have these things in place. So I want you to kind of just address that just a minute, because we want you to know that our goal is to make sure that you are financially savvy and financially free.
Absolutely. And Audrey, you actually just said it all in a nutshell. All of those things are so very important. No matter where you live, and I know that we're going to have people from all over the country that are joining us. I would tell you that no matter where you are, you want to make sure that someone knows what your desires are. And if you don't have a will in place, it's just up in the air. It's amazing how many families fight when the person is gone. They're fighting over possessions, they're fighting over children, so you don't want that to happen. And even the most loving family can sometimes have issue if a major breadwinner dies or if something happens in the family. So you want to have those wills done. You want to have a medical directive. We talked for years about how the Shriver girl stayed in a vegetative state for years and years and years because there was no medical directive, and the family will let her husband make that decision for her.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure you have that in place. And finally, as you begin to accumulate your assets, you begin to accumulate all types of investments and your portfolio grows, you want to protect that in your family as well by having life insurance. The portfolio is for you because at every time in your life, you're going to want cash. But you want to make sure that there's a life insurance in place so that, God forbid, if something happens to you before you get your assets to where you want them to be, because if you truly have a great investment account and all of that, you don't really need life insurance. But until that happens, you want to protect your family so that you have that in place, and we can help you do all of that. As Audrey said, it's about getting your financial house in order. And that's with the foundation, building the walls up to have all the accounts that you need, and then making sure that you have a will which protects all of that you have a will or some type of directive should something happen to you. So great information, Audrey. That is just so true. And we can
And
help you do that,
yeah,
listeners.
we're gonna help you do that. And we're gonna help you understand some things. Because right now, I gotta share this, Callan. I don't think I've shared this with you. Right now, I have in my possession a copy of a will and a trust, right? A will and a trust that was attached to someone who was uber wealthy. And because of the people he put in charge of that will and trust is a hot mess. A hot mess. So all of these things are really important, and I have them and I've seen them, and it's a mess. And what I will tell you guys, especially if you're trying to get uber wealthy like this person was, I'm gonna tell you this, you think you can trust people after you're gone, but you can't. Because I know that the people he put in charge of his estate, he never thought would do the things that they're doing. He probably never thought it. And he thought that he was doing everything he was supposed to do. And he did do a lot of those things. But the people that he put in charge could not be trusted. And I almost feel like they couldn't wait for him to die so they can just run amok with his money. If he was here today, he would be livid, but he's not. So you want to make sure that the people you put in charge of your trust and wills are people who actually you can trust. But you also want to make sure that the people that are in the will and the trust, they know that they are, because then there's no question about who has what, because what he did, Carolyn, and I'm just sharing this, I can't tell you who it is because it's somebody in my family, but what he did was he never told the people in the trust who they were. He only told this one person, and that person has the trust, and she would not let it go.
Oh,
And so
wow.
she controls the entire estate, and she won't let it go. And so, but no, and nobody can fight her because nobody has access to their trust. So there's a lot of things that we want to teach you here. A lot of them for me has come from experience. I'm living through that stuff right now. It is horrible, but you can't let it get you down. But that's what it means to be savvy. When my dad died, he didn't have a will or a trust. He went into his estate went into probate for a whole year. My brother and I had to pay a lot of money, but he didn't know any better. And I didn't grow up with him, so I couldn't instruct him because I didn't grow up with him. But when it was all said and done, my brother and I, my two brothers and I, we came out okay, but we spent a lot of money to come out okay. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. So we're going to make sure that you guys understand how not to do that and how to make sure, because you think you're doing everything. You got the trust, you got the will, you got all this stuff in place. And when you're gone, the executor over that trust and will, you think you can trust them, but can you really trust them? So we're going to talk about all that on Wise Women Invest. And listen, we know it's called Wise Women Invest, but brothers, you can take advantage of this knowledge as well. So don't think that we're not talking to you. It just so happened that Wise Women Invest got 5 stars. So we got to keep it rolling. Got to keep it rolling. All right, Callan, any last in closing words before we say goodbye for today?
No, just that. And I'm glad you said women and brothers as well, because all of us want to know better, and all of us want to do better. And so this is just another opportunity for us to do that. So just remember that the 3 D's of investing, and you can go someplace else and hear 3 other D's, but these 3 are the main ones that have always been there. And that is dollar cost averaging, diversification, and discipline. And the strongest of those is discipline, because if you don't get started, then you can't take advantage of the dollar cost averaging and the diversification.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being my guest today. Listen, we'll be back next Wednesday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week, we're going to be talking about what's your money personality. I know you want to know what it is, so come on through. Listen, download go to Noise Podcast Network and sign up for this show. Subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. We'll be back next week. Listen, find out what you can save, find out what you can get rid of so you can start investing. Don't be making excuses. I'm doing that. You do the same. Find something you can cut, because you can cut something. I know you say, but I need to live. Yeah, you do, but you need to invest as well. All right, Callan, thanks again. We'll be back next week, y'all. Until next time, make it a great day, everybody. Bye now.
You've been listening to the Wise Women Invest podcast. Tune in daily at 6 p.m. for a new investment tip to help you make smart money moves. To learn more about Wise Women Invest and to join our community and investment club, go to www.wisewomeninvest.club. To never miss an episode of the podcast, download the Wise Women Invest app from the App Store and be sure to share the show with another wise woman. Again, our website is www.wisewomeninvest.club.